Hey guys, Dennis from DC Supershine here. We are at my property, about 20 minutes from my main residence. This is my little slice of heaven, so we decided we would film here today. It's a beautiful day, and as you can see, it is winter here. We've had a few weeks of snow. It's beautiful today. It's close to 10 degrees, I think, so stuff is melting. So perfect day to come and film a video for you guys. What I want to do today is talk about the 5 main tools that I use for polishing in my, for running my own business. So the first tool, I'd say that I probably use this 90% of the time. 90% of my polishing is done with a 6,000 RPM. This is the DeWalt D28499X. And the reason why I use this particular machine is because it's the strongest one they have. It's the one with the most horsepower. I think it has 4.3 horsepower, something like that. And I like the torque whenever you apply a little bit of pressure. It doesn't lose too much RPMs. So this is what I use to do the bulk of the polishing whenever it comes to especially cutting. The second tool, this is probably the most versatile tool that I use. So this is the 600 RPM to 3500 RPM. It's the DWP 849X, and this tool I use for polishing, I use for sanding, I use for polishing paint. So it's definitely the most versatile tool that I have here. And so normally when I'm polishing, I put it on max. So 3500 RPM whenever I'm doing my cutting step. And I use this into tighter spots. Like this is a bigger machine. It's a little bit heavier, harder to handle. So I'll use a 3500 whenever I get into like little corners and stuff like that. They're a little bit harder to get into, or if this machine doesn't fit, this is what I'll use. This is what I use for my high-speed sanding as well. So I'll put my high-speed sanding disc on here, and I'll use this for sanding, mainly for bigger stuff. So tanks, boxes, things like that. I will do the outside part of the rims as well. I find getting in the inside of the rim with this, it's a little too long, and it's just a lot more cumbersome, a little harder to handle. And then you can also use this you put a paint polishing pad on here, like a wool pad. It can be a 6-inch or an 8-inch pad, and you can do the ends of the tank sometimes that are a little bit harder to reach by hand or with the bigger machine, and it makes that job a little bit easier as well. And then for paint as well, when you're polishing paint. So if you're doing some paint corrections, you have some scratch removal, or a paint that's very, very oxidized, and you want to bring it back to its original state, this is the machine that I would start with whenever I'm polishing paint as well. So the third tool is sanding, my sander. So this is a DeWalt. It doesn't really matter which orbital DeWalt that you buy. I've owned several. This one here is just, you turn it on and it's one speed. You have the ones that are variable speed as well. They both work. I prefer these. I don't know what the number is, and I don't have my glasses, so it'll be linked below anyways. But this is what I use to do all of my sanding. Again, like I've said before, for me, quality means everything, especially when it comes to tools. You can definitely get the job done with a cheaper tool, but they won't last as long. And sometimes the torque on them, the RPMs and stuff like that, they'll slow down when you put a little bit of pressure. It'll cause some pigtails in your sanding, and then it makes your polishing a little bit harder. So I like to buy a little bit higher quality, especially when it comes to sanding. The fourth tool here, this is an orbital polisher sander as well. This is what I mainly use for paint polishing. But a little trick that I've found that works very, very well as well is when you're doing stainless. So a lot of the stainless, whenever it gets a little oxidized or a little rough, we normally polish all that by hand. I know years ago we did all stainless by hand, and sometimes it can be really time consuming. So with this, whenever you're using it on stainless, it can save you a ton of time. So especially on the bigger surfaces, bumpers, stack shields, the visor, I'll use this machine to get it all done, and you'll save a ton of time. The last tool, but not the least, is clamps. When pieces are off the truck, especially boxes, box covers, if you just put them on a skid or on a table or anything like that, they move around as you polish, especially if you're polishing with the 6,000 RPM, they tend to move around a lot. So I just use these clamps. They're super easy to use, and I buy the 24-inch ones. They're a little bit longer, so I can clamp them to pretty much anything, any table that is available to me at the time on the job site. So I would definitely invest in at least 2, to start, and then if you can get 4 to 6 later on to do more things. And again, it depends on if you have anybody working for you and stuff. I have a few guys, so I like to have several clamps on hand to be able to get all the guys working. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all about any of these tools, anything more specific, please put it in the comments below. I do my best to try and answer everyone. And again, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Like me on Instagram and on Facebook, and we'll catch you in the next one.